Okay, so let's talk about 9/11 again. Like what was that? Did that evoke those questions in your mind?
I mean, absolutely. But Tucker, I'm the bad guy because I acknowledged FBI files that detailed the so-called dancing Israelis. Okay, I'm the bad guy. But
why is that bad? Why is that bad to have if you arrest foreigners on your soil for celebrating the biggest terror attack in your history? Why are you the criminal for just pointing that out?
Well, because they were Israelis, of course.
Oh, okay.
It's that simple. It's that simple. If they were, I mean, let's just be honest here. If the individuals who were arrested that day weren't Israeli and were instead, let's say, Lebanese, right, or Syrian or anything else, it wouldn't be controversial to talk about that. In fact, you would be encouraged to talk about that. And so it's just the whole thing is sick because I was in high school when 9/11 happened. So I remember what America was like prior to 9/11. 9/11 crushed this country.
Yes.
9/11 convinced Americans to give some of their civil liberties away to our federal government in the name of national security. 9/11 encouraged the United States to go to the Middle East and engage in wars that we should not have engaged in, especially Iraq. And it hasn't ended since then. I mean, 9/11 is what persuaded the American people that it was a good idea to go into debt in order to fight these wars. We had an economic surplus in the beginning of the Bush administration. We are now drowning in federal debt, $38 trillion. It's getting worse every single year. And just to go back to what you said about Ben Shapiro, he and I were debating on a CNN panel where the topic of Social Security came up again. And he just kept talking about how Social Security is bankrupting this country. When I challenged him by mentioning the trillions of dollars the United States has spent on, yes, supporting Israel through military aid, but also other things like bribing Egypt to play nice with Israel, and the trillions of dollars that we have fought in wars on behalf of Israel.
Very good point she makes here, like seriously spot on. And of course Ben Shapiro won't talk about this because he thinks this is good. Because I said this multiple times, Ben Shapiro is not loyal to the United States in my opinion. He is loyal to another country. So of course he wants our money, the money from you, from me, the taxpayers' money. He wants this to go to Israel, to help Israel. And we gave already billions of dollars, but you will never hear a Mark Levin or a Ben Shapiro talk about this because they think this is really good. They want more US money to go to Israel, to the country where they're loyal to. And I think this is not good, and people can have an opinion about this. And it's actually weird that Ben Shapiro is never talking about this because, again, Ben Shapiro is acting like he is America first. He is cosplaying like an America first, that he is one of us. He isn't. He is loyal to another country, so he should also criticize this if we spend, or if he is so America first, he should also criticize the fact that we spent billions of dollars to foreign countries, but especially to Israel. We gave them so much money where I have to work hard for, you have to work hard for, we have to work our ass off and we can barely survive, but we spent billions of dollars to these countries like it's water. But you will never hear a Mark Levin or a Ben Shapiro talk about it because they actually agree with this. They think this is good. Meanwhile, the average American, they don't agree with this and they are so tired of this.
You don't think that that's crushing our economy a little bit? You don't think that's contributed to our debt far more than our Social Security system, which I will admit, there is a funding issue there, but Americans have paid into that system. Americans are entitled to that system.
Right.
Okay. They weren't handed that money. That money is the result of their hard work and their contributions to that program. What has Israel contributed to the United States? And why are they entitled to us literally taking out loans, like going into debt just to hand them more money? It's insane. $30 billion since October 7th has been funneled from the United States to Israel for them to carry out what I believe are atrocities in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Name a country they haven't bombed. So I just think that it's important to have these conversations. And I understand that people like Mark Levin will get very irritated by it, will get very offended by it because, well, he can't respond to it effectively or substantively. You can't defend the indefensible. The only thing you can try to do is shut people up. But some people can't be silenced. I'm one of them. You're another one of them. And they can go ahead and smear us all they want. But, you know, when it comes to the marketplace of ideas, I think Americans have spoken in regard to who they agree with the most on this matter. And it's because they have felt the economic ramifications of the U.S. alliance with Israel.
I don't see how this particular set of beliefs wins any election. So if you only care about serving a foreign power, an irrelevant foreign power, you're not getting anything in return for it, and you don't care at all about the condition of your own country, I just don't see a market for that. I mean, I disagree with it. Of course, I'm repulsed by it, of course, but as a sort of matter of democratic principle, I don't see how you get to 51% in an election with that. I just don't think that has a future at all. I think most people look at that and are like, no. So why wouldn't there be some convergence from either side, all sides? Why wouldn't you have like a true, let's just argue about what to do to help America party? Like, isn't that inevitable?
I feel like that's in some regard forming already. You know, the two-party system, I don't think bodes well for the American populace. Like, I think what actually makes a lot more sense is maybe don't fully disregard labels if that's something that you're into. You want to think about labels. But consider that there are areas of agreement, actually vast areas of agreement between the two sides, especially as it pertains to foreign policy, especially at this current moment. So the idea that I wouldn't be willing to align myself with someone on the right who I might have a ton of other disagreements with, but we have the agreement on, hey, we need to find a way to organize and get our federal government to prioritize us. I'm going to work with people who agree with me on that. I don't care where they land on the political spectrum,
agree.
you know?
And if they're willing to admit fault in public in a sincere way, anyone who will do that is an ally of mine. Whether they regard me as an ally is another question, but I regard anyone willing to do that as an ally, both for moral reasons, it's my religion, but also for practical reasons. The only reason that we ineffectively bombed the nuclear sites in Iran is because no one ever acknowledged that Iraq was a mistake, Libya was a mistake, Afghanistan, the 20-year occupation, was a mistake. Having nothing to do with how we withdrew, we shouldn't have been there.
Exactly, spot on. And for this reason, I want just someone who is America first. Stop giving so much money to foreign countries. Stop spending so much energy in foreign countries. We need people in this country who are actually America first and not fake America first, like a Donald Trumpstein who are cosplaying like they are also America first. Meanwhile, they are not even doing anything for the United States. Donald Trump is also busy with almost every country in the world, but not with our own country. And this is the reason why I have so many trust issues with the politics now, because every time when people vote, afterwards it always turns out that they're being lied to, that they do completely the opposite as where they voted for. So at this point, we need real people who are America first, nothing more, nothing less, America first people. But I wish, or I hope there are people who can actually do this, who are still like this, who want the best for our country. But like I said, I have many trust issues now these days because so many of these people who act like they were America first, they betrayed us from day one. So I have to see with the next presidency, but I hope we can get someone who is America first. As long as it's not J.D. Vance, I'm almost happy already.
Years. It was all a mistake, and nobody ever admitted it, much less took responsibility, much less accepted punishment or sanction for it. And if you don't do that, it doesn't get better. It just gets worse.
Well, what's amazing is how quickly people not only forget about all the lies that were told to the American people to manufacture consent to get us into that war, that preemptive war in Iraq, even people who remember for some reason, allow themselves to be propagandized into believing that Iran is a real threat to America.
Right.
And if Iran was really a threat to America, I don't think they would hit the U.S. government up and let us know, hey, just to save face with our population, since you attacked us and our nuclear sites, we're going to drop a few missiles in this area near a U.S. airbase, but we want you to evacuate all your soldiers because we don't want anyone to get killed. Yeah, real threat to the United States. Okay. In reality, Iran is a threat. Iran is a threat to Israel. There's no question about that.
Yes.
Because Iran is now the only country left that isn't willing to sit by and allow Israel to engage in an expansionist project that involves slaughter, land theft, and really much of what we've been seeing over the last 2 years.
You said a few minutes ago that you're proud to be Armenian, but that fundamentally you're American. And that suggests to me that the idea of my group versus your group, zero-sum identity politics, you're rejecting that in favor of some more universalist connection to other people. We're all kind of in this together.
Yeah, in favor of America and Americans, absolutely. Because if my brother actually confronted me about this, and I think he made a really good point. It made me start thinking differently. He kind of referred to America devolving into like a commuter country.
Right.
Where people come here and they don't see themselves as Americans. They're born here. They don't see themselves as Americans. They kind of see this as like the land of opportunity. But they think my identity is not an American. My identity is I'm white, I'm Black, I'm Latino, I'm Armenian, whatever. And you kind of like segregate yourself into these like high school like cliques where everyone else is your enemy, right? And you can't be thinking about Americans that way. There has to be something that bonds us together, an identity that brings us together. And that identity is that we are Americans.
Exactly.
We should want to see this country thrive. And I think a lot of people who do immigrate to this country want to see this country thrive. They love this country and they hate what has happened to their country, right? The freedoms that they were not afforded in their country of origin.
Exactly, and again, I completely agree with her. She is spot on, actually. And I am one of these people because, of course, you can hear this. I have this heavy accent. I am originally from Western Europe, so I was not even born in the United States. But I feel like an American. I'm probably more patriotic than the average Americans. I love this country. I would do everything for this country. I will raise my children in this country. I would even die for this country if I had to. And it's very sad to see that you have like Americans who were born here and they almost feel ashamed of being an American. They literally they act like they're almost like tired of being an American. Or tired is not a good word, excuse me. They're almost like that. They feel like embarrassed to be an American, and that is actually embarrassing if you think about this. You have people that grow up in this country, like one of the best countries in the world, the most beautiful country in the world. You should be so proud to be an American. And then you have these people that are so brainwashed that they actually have hate towards their own country, towards their own identity. And that's something what is, especially from this time, and that's actually something what really has to stop, because it will only divide us more. We should like be more united as real Americans. And what she is saying here is spot on. I completely agree with her. Respect for her for saying this. More people should like change this whole vibe about not being proud to be an American, not or feel ashamed to be an American. Are you nuts? You should be proud. You should be so happy that you grew up in this beautiful country. The last thing what you should do is feel ashamed of being an American. Sorry, I just wanted to really say this. I'm a little bit frustrated because of this, because many times I actually see real Americans who feel like this, and it literally hurts my feelings when I see or hear these people talking about the fact that they're ashamed of being an American. Are you nuts?
But make no mistake about it. If you are here and you think, well, I'm just here to reap the benefits of what this country offers, but I don't really care about the American identity or experience, then you don't get it. You just don't get it. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
One of the things that I disagree with Ben Shapiro most strongly on, and I just want to be clear, I don't hate Ben Shapiro at all, And we disagree, obviously, on the use of force, on Israel strongly, but that doesn't make me emotional. Ben is looking at the world from a completely different perspective, which I reject, but I'm not mad about it. What makes me mad is the way that he describes the United States as like this economic zone, totally divorced from the actual people who live there and their customs and their history and their instincts and their connections to each other and to regions, to physical reality. He has no regard for that at all, in the way that big companies have no regard for that at all. Like, shut up and freeze your eggs and get back to work. And I feel like that's dehumanizing. Doesn't quite describe that attitude. It's an attitude that doesn't see people as human and in the service of what? Making money? I mean, it's everything about that I dislike. I feel like that's never challenged on the right. Increasingly, it's not challenged on the left either. It used to be big time. Less and less, but certainly on the right, anyone who challenges it is derided as a socialist. I'm not quite sure what that means. I don't think I'm a socialist, never have been. But I don't think that we should tell people that they have no right to live in the town where they were born. Like, okay, so who are we serving here? What is the point of this exercise? To maximize profits to you? Like what? I don't know. Like, what is that?
Well, the first thing I thought of as I listened to Ben Shapiro make that argument was, oh, so I shouldn't have the ability to stay close to my family?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, think about what ties you to the community you live in, right? The community you grew up in. It's your family. It's your friends. It's your job. A lot of people aren't able to work remotely. And part of the reason why it's so expensive to live in, some of these cities or the most expensive parts of this country is because whether we like it or not, a lot of the jobs are concentrated there. So I would love nothing more than to live in a part of the country that isn't as overcrowded as LA is, to be honest with you. Like, I want to be in nature. I want a little more of a rural experience, but I don't have that luxury because I do have to work and my job is located here in Los Angeles. And any other media job I want, unless I work for myself, is going to be in a big city like New York. So it's just this really interesting idea. Like, I don't think most Americans are walking around feeling entitled. Like, most Americans aren't thinking to themselves, hey, you know what? I'm a bum and I sit on the couch all day and I don't make any money, but I deserve to live in a multi-million-dollar mansion paid for by the United States government. No, there are countless Americans in this country who work more than 40 hours a week and still can't make ends meet. Something is broken in this system, and putting the onus on Americans and making them out to be lazy bums is what offends me the most, to be honest.
Well, sure. When Ben Shapiro says blaming the system rather than blaming yourself, your own lack of creativity, initiative, intelligence, whatever your problem is immoral. And that is a kind of long-time refrain on the so-called right. And there are things about it that I agree with. I do think you should blame yourself first. I'm trying to force myself to be in the habit of that. I did something wrong. I'm going to admit it. I think that's really important for the sake of preserving your soul. And also, by the way, you get credibility when you're honest about yourself. It's easy to be honest about other people. You're fat, but it's hard to say I'm fat, right? So, like, I agree with it on one level, but it's also just not true. Like, we are subject to forces that we can't control. It's just a fact. I didn't write the tax code, for example. I don't have any control over the hiring standards at various companies or the admission standards at various schools. Those are systemic problems. It's just a fact. They are systems. Those are rules written by other people over which I have no control. So for Ben Shapiro to say, it's outrageous, it's a conspiracy theory to blame the system, does make me suspect maybe you're a beneficiary of a system that you can't actually defend. And so you're attacking me for asking questions about that system. That's just my reaction to what he said.
And of course Ben Shapiro says this, and he doesn't care about the average Americans. This shows you his personality, how he actually thinks. And do you still think Ben Shapiro is American first? He literally says people don't have the right to live in the city or the town where they grew up with. who is Ben Shapiro for saying this? And then he's saying, you can't blame the system for this, you can't blame the government for this. All right, but I can blame the government and the system for sending billions of dollars to another country where Ben Shapiro is loyal to, right? I also have my opinions about that. So why won't you talk about that, little Ben? But again, this is my opinion. I'm very curious about your opinion about this whole situation. Do you agree with Tucker? Do you disagree with Tucker? Please share your opinion in the comments. Very important to say, I read all comments. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you really like this video, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Also, I made some new merch, some very cool America First merch. I hope you like it. Please take a look. The link is in the bio. And if you have any feedback, please let me know. I'm always open for feedback. Last but not least, guys, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.